Today, we're going to find out what's wrong with this oven. I was trying to bake some bread this weekend and it just wasn't turning out right, which told me that it probably was a heating problem. Now, if you've ever had trouble with your oven not heating properly, it could be a couple of things. It could either be that the controls aren't working or it could be the heating element. Today, we're going to find out what's wrong with this oven and we're going to fix it. Obviously, when you're dealing with the oven, you are dealing with electricity, so please, if you're not experienced with electricity, call the professionals and let the electrician come out and fix your oven. But for those of you who do have experience with this type of work, the first thing that we need to do is check to make sure the oven is getting enough voltage. To do that, I'm using a voltmeter to check the plug. But first, I need to unplug it. So what we're going to do with the voltmeter is check this outlet, and to do that, you take these two prongs and you place them in the top of the receptacle. Now this is going to tell me how much electricity is coming through this plug. I should get a reading of 240 volts because that's what it takes to power the heating element. Let's check this outlet and see if it's the problem. Well, the voltmeter is telling me that the outlet is giving us 240 volts, so we know that's not the problem. So by process of elimination, it's either got to be the controls or the heating element. But to get to those, I need to take the back off of the oven, and then we can check those out. I'm going to go ahead and take off both panels. The top panel is where the controls are, and I need to take the bottom one off to get to the heating element. The next thing that we want to take a look at are the controls to see if that could be the problem. I just want you to know that I've left the oven unplugged for safety reasons. I don't want to take any chances of getting shocked or electrocuted. Now the way that you check the oven if it's unplugged is by using an ohm meter, and I'll tell you more about this in a minute. Even though the oven is off, what you need to do is go ahead and turn your oven control and the temperature control to the on position. Basically what we're doing here is determining which wires are carrying power going into the controls and power coming out to the heating element. The way that you find out which wires these are is here's where your power is coming in right here. So it's either going to be the red wire or the black wire. Now the oven runs at 240 volts, so I know it's not the white one because the white wire is neutral. I'm going to go ahead and start with this red wire. And it's a little confusing. As you can see, there's a lot of wires, but what you need to do is just take a little time and trace the wire all the way up. Okay? Here's the red wire right here, and I can see that it's looping over and it's also connecting to the other control. So I know this is one of the wires I need to check. Now I need to determine which wire is the heating element. So again, I'm going to trace all the way up, just like this, okay, till I find it. And here it is right here. These are the two wires that I need to check to determine if the problem is with the controls. Remember earlier I was talking to you about the ohm meter? Well, this is where it's going to come into use. Now basically this will tell us whether we have a good circuit or not. This gives me a readout like this one where it just says 1, then I know the circuit's bad. But when I put these two prongs together, that completes the circuit. And it gives me a readout, 0.1. Okay, then I'll know the circuit's good. These are the two readings that I'm going to look for when I'm checking this. So let's check it and see what it says. Now since I've already determined which is the power in and the power out wire, all I need to do is put these probes right there. Okay, good, 0.1. So that tells me that the problem is not with the controls. Okay, now that we know that the controls are fine, the last thing that we need to check is the heating element. And again, I'm going to put these probes right here. My reading is staying at 1, so this is our problem. And luckily, the element's not hard at all to fix. Here's the heating element, and this is the part that we need to replace. And like I said, this really will be easy to fix. But it's important to know before you go to the appliance store, look on the inside of your oven and write down this model number, because every model is different, so you want to be sure that you get the right part. This heating element only costs between $30 and $35, but the price is going to vary depending on what brand you have. What's holding the heating element into place are these two screws. So what I'm going to do is take these out, and then the heating element will pull right out. Now as soon as I screw this new one back in, I'll reattach the wires and put the back on, and then we'll be ready to test it and see if it works. Great, the oven works. We're back in business. And the best part was it only took me about an hour to identify what the problem was. And once I knew it was the heating element, only about 15 minutes to replace that. So I saved a lot of money compared to calling out a repairman. And I saved a lot of time. This really was a great do-it-yourself project.